Before we start today's video, I'd like to share with you the reason why I'm so passionate about my '72 Pro Street Camaro. While I was working on this project, it brought back memories of my first car that I built with my buddies and my dad in my parents' garage. It was challenging, but that's why I acquired all my car building skills. We had no idea what we were doing, but somehow we found a way to make it work. And it's a bond that my friends and my dad have with each other to this day. So later on, ignoring the advice of a good friend of mine that told me not to sell my first car, I sold it, and I've regretted it ever since. I've tried to find it, and I've had no luck. So one day, my dad and I stumbled across this '72 Pro Street Camaro with my wife as we were going to church. So my wife and I took it for a ride, and when I got back, my dad saw the smile on my face, and he told me that he knew at that moment that he was going to buy this car for me. And it has done so much for our relationship. It is just, words cannot describe. My dad and I go to car shows all the time. We go to Woodward Dream Cruise every year, and we just have a great time. So I feel like I've been given a second chance to build the car of my dreams, and I cannot thank my father enough for that. So with that being said, I'm going to show you what we've done to the interior of my car. So the first photo just shows you the interior, what the car looked like when I first purchased it. It was just very dingy and dirty. I don't know how long the car was built, so it was definitely in need of a change. I didn't like the gray seats, the gray carpet, shifter, bunch of gauge clusters underneath the dash, wood grain on the dash panel, which I'll show you in the next photo. So as you can see in this photo, the dash is in pretty sad shape. It does have the newer steering wheel and the shifter that I had mounted with the new carpet at this point, but the reason this photo is in here is just to show the actual shape the dash was in with the wood grain and all the different gauges. So I just wanted to clean it up and make it more modern. So this photo just shows what shape the floors are in once I ripped out all the carpet. There was no sound deadening material underneath of it. The sheet metal didn't have any rust holes, but it was kind of in sad shape, as you can see here in this photo. In this photo as well, it's the bare metal, but this is the back half of the Camaro. Pretty much all solid, but you can see the rust on it. So what we did is we prepped the floor and tubs, and we used a rust prohibiting paint on it. So as you can see here, this is the results after we had the car interior all painted, all cleaned up, getting ready to put the sound deadening material over it. So as you can see here, we also painted the roll cage with a semi-gloss paint, cleaned it all up because it was pretty beat up. We also wanted to get this done before we actually installed the headliner. So as you can see, the roof on the Camaro was pretty solid, so there was no issues there. So we were just prepping it to get ready to install the headliner. So the next thing we did was install the headliner, and these are some photos of before and after during the process. You can see it starts out kind of wrinkly, and then as it goes on, it gets smoother. This is extremely challenging and very time consuming since I've never really done a headliner before. But just take your time and be patient, and it'll all work out, as you can see is in these photos display. So the next step we did was to tear out the dash and all the wiring from the car. This was by far the most complex project I've done. I'm really not an electrician and I'm not comfortable with it. My advice to everybody that does this type of project would be to take lots of pictures and videos, so as you're reassembling your vehicle, you'll be able to reference the pictures you took and how it was before, in case you get stumped by how maybe the dash frame goes back together and which location. That was one thing I had an issue with. But overall, if you just take your time and read the manual thoroughly, everything's labeled very well with the Painless system, wiring system, and time consuming, but honestly I didn't feel it was that hard. I wired the whole car up, and when I turned it over it actually started, so I was pretty amazed by that. So you can see here just photos of the different stages and how the red primary color underneath the dash, what I did not expect. So what I did is decided while I had it apart that I would paint that as well, because I don't plan on taking this thing back apart anytime soon. So in the next photo you'll see it's all painted and cleaned up. It looks rather well, even though you don't really see it. So once this was completed, the next thing was to actually put the wire harness in. Alright, well, today is wiring day. This is the Painless wiring system, the new fuse box. All the lovely wires to the front, or to the car, rear of the car, pan over here. Here's more stuff, yay! And I'm not an electrical guy. I guess I will be when this project's over. So, inside the car, my lovely wife. She's running for the hills. There's the box. Alright, so I will do more video as need be. There's a big gaping hole where the panel box goes. So, stay tuned. So the next thing I did was lay out how I wanted my relay board to be in the car, and I also knew I wanted a dedicated power and ground underneath the dash to make my life easier. And under here you can see where I mounted it to the firewall, and it worked out very well. As you can see here, the wiring looks a little intimidating with all these wires hanging out, but they're very well marked, and it actually went quite easily as long as you take your time. Then here's where I have the Dakota digital gauges installed with the new bezel. The Dakota digital gauges, the instructions were very clear and they were very easy to hook up. Alright, so we're out here in the garage, and you can't tell by the way I'm dressed. It's currently like 46 degrees here in Michigan. It's February 1st, 2022. So it's like a heat wave right now for us. So trying to take full advantage of that, spending some time in the garage today. So I want to just take you guys through a walk through the interior to show you all what it looks like currently. Let's get started. So just starting out, all new dash pad, all new dash panels, new steering wheel, tilt column, Dakota digital gauges, brake pad, throttle pedal, shifter. You can see harnesses, seats. Found an LED bulb to put in the dome light. We mounted LEDs underneath the dash to go with the red theme. I think that looks pretty good. Carpet, sound deadening material. So I shut the lights off. You can turn on the Dakota digital gauges for you and get a look at what they're like. Currently that's the fire and ice setting. I like these gauges because you can set them to multiple different colors, background, needles, and there's a wide range of color that you can choose from. And also I put a shift light on it and then realized that you don't need that because the whole gauge cluster lights up red when it's time to shift the car. Pretty cool feature. Makes up a very clean interior. I'm very pleased with it. And it also will do 1/8 mile time, 1/4 mile time, and 0 to 60 as well. So it's a really cool gauge cluster. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I ask that you please subscribe to the channel and hope to see you next week.